Global warming is the phenomenon of increasing average air temperatures near the surface of Earth over the past 1 or 2 centuries. Climate scientists have since the mid-20th century gathered detailed observations of various weather phenomena such as temperatures, precipitation and storms, and of related influences on climate, which in fact are ocean currents and atmosphere's chemical composition. These data indicate that Earth's climate has changed over almost every conceivable timescale since the beginning of geologic time, and that human activities, since at least the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, have a growing influence over the pace and extent of present-day climate change. Some of the main uncertainties include the precise role of feedback process and the impacts of industrial pollutants known as aerosols, which may offset some warming. The lowest emission scenario, which assumed steep cuts in the greenhouse gas emissions beginning in 2015, predicted that the global mean surface temperature would increase between 1.0 and 1.8 degrees Celsius by 2100, relative to 1850 and 1900 average. This range stood in stark contrast to the highest emission scenario, which predicted that the mean surface temperature would rise between 3.3 and 5.7 degrees Celsius by 2100, based on the assumption that the greenhouse gas emissions would continue to increase throughout the 21st century. Many climate scientists agree that the significant societal, economic, and ecological damage would result if the global average temperature rose by more than 2 degrees Celsius in such a short period of time. Such damage would include increased extinction of many plant and animal species, shifts in pattern of agriculture, and rising sea level. By 2015, all but a few national governments had begun the process of instituting carbon reduction plans as part of the Paris Agreement, a treaty designed to help countries keep global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in order to avoid the worst of the predicted effects. Some of incoming sunlight is reflected by Earth's atmosphere and surface, but most is absorbed by the surface, which is warmed. Infrared radiation is then emitted from the surface. Some infrared radiation escapes to space, but some is absorbed by the atmosphere's greenhouse gases, especially water vapor, carbon dioxide and methane, and re-radiated in all directions, some to space and some back toward the surface, where it further warms the surface and lowers the atmosphere. The scenario referred to above depend mainly on the future concentrations of certain trace gases, called greenhouse gases, that have been injected into the lower atmosphere in increasing amounts throughout the burning of the fossil fuels for industry, transportation, and residential use. Modern global warming is a result of an increase in magnitude of the so-called greenhouse effect, a warming of Earth's surface and lower atmosphere caused by the presence of water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other greenhouse gases. In 2014, there were first reports that the concentrations of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide in the atmosphere surpassed those found in the ice cores dating back 800 years. Of all these gases, carbon dioxide is the most important both for its role in the greenhouse effect and for its role in human economy. It's been estimated that at the beginning of the industrial age in the mid-18th century, carbon dioxide concentrations in the atmosphere were roughly 280 parts per million. By the end of 2022, they had risen to 419 parts per million, and if fossil fuels continue to burn at current rates, they are projected to reach 550 parts per million by the mid-21st century, essentially a doubling of carbon dioxide concentrations in 300 years. A vigorous debate is in the progress over the extent and seriousness of rising surface temperatures, the effects of the past and future warming on human life, and the need for action to reduce future warming and deal with its consequences. Worldwide, the most recent glacial period, or Ice Age, culminated about 21,000 years ago in what is often called the last glacial maximum. During this time, continental ice sheets extended well into the middle latitude regions of Europe and North America, reaching as far south as present-day London and New York City. The global annual mean temperature appears to have been about 4 to 5 degrees Celsius colder than the mid-20th century. It's important to remember that these figures are a global average. In fact, during the height of this last ice age, Earth's climate was characterized by greater cooling at higher latitudes and relatively little cooling over large parts parts of the tropical oceans near equator. The modern period of Earth's history is conventionally defined as residing within the Middle Holocene, some 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. Conditions appear to have been relatively warm, indeed, perhaps warmer than today in some parts of the world during certain seasons. The average surface temperature of Earth is maintained by a balance of various forms of solar and terrestrial radiation. The energy of the total upcoming solar radiation at the top of Earth's atmosphere amounts roughly to 1,366 watts per square meter annually. Adjusting for the fact that only one half of the planet's surface receives solar radiation at any given time, the average surface insolation is 342 watts per square meter annually. The annual greenhouse effect is associated with surface warming properties of natural constituents of Earth's atmosphere, especially water, vapor, and carbon dioxide and methane. The existence of this effect is accepted by all scientists. Indeed, in its substance, Earth's average temperature would be approximately 33 degrees Celsius colder than today, and Earth would be frozen and likely an uninhabitable planet. Reckoning the severe impact of climate change on lives on Earth, Ethiopia, a country located in East Africa with the second most populous country in Africa, has laid a cornerstone in a green legacy initiative heralding the need to a united hand to tackle the global threat. Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative is one of the most ambitious environmentalist restoration programs in the world. The initiative, launched in 2019 by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, aims to plant 40 billion trees across the country by the end of 2024 and plant 25 million seedlings by the end of 2022. This initiative is part of Ethiopia's commitment to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and its pledge to combat climate change. Through the initiative, the government of Ethiopia hopes to combat deforestation, increase the country's forest cover, and enhance the ecosystem services that forests provide, such as clean air, water, and soil. Furthermore, the initiative also aims to create green jobs and stimulate economic growth by promoting sustainable land use practices. Recognizably, this year, Ethiopians from far and near participated in planting 600 million seedlings in a single day campaign, with eventually succeeding in planting more than 615 million seedlings, which in fact is a record in the country's history. This popular campaign puts an omen for the rest of the world to combat the greatest ever global threat on Earth, the climate change. During the campaign, different diplomats and visitors took part, lately recommending the rest of the world's sharp involvement in such a move elsewhere. The Green Legacy Initiative has been absolutely recognizable in Ethiopian history. This legacy initiative has been one of the focus areas in Ethiopian government, especially in relation to tackling global warming and climate change, which in fact is a global threat for the whole people across the globe. The Ethiopian government has been tremendously moving just to have a progress in relation to the forest coverage in Ethiopia, because the forest coverage doesn't mean only just bringing an image on the country's level, but also tackling the devastating climate change, which in fact is against human species and animals on Earth. The government of Ethiopia has a campaign just to plant 600 million seedlings in a day, which in fact is a record in the history of Ethiopia. In this campaign, different people from different areas are ready just to put their footprints. Diplomats, doctors, teachers, the city residents, children, women, religious men, and elders as well are here just to plant their seedlings and en route to play their pivotal role and the lion's share in tackling the global warming. I am also ready as a citizen of Ethiopia just to put my footprints planting the seedlings, just to tackle the global warming at one hand and also to bring a new image in the forest cover in Ethiopia. Previously, the Ethiopian government has been planting numerous plants or seedlings which in fact are edible and can have a great image on the look of the country. And as a result, the forest coverage in Ethiopia has increased to more than 23% as compared to it was before. I am putting my footprint here and different people are here ready again. I'm going to show you how their feeling will be about planting seedlings in here, ICT Park located around Bole. The city mayor, Addis Ababa, was here this morning just to open the ceremony of planting trees around ICT Park, and that's been absolutely tremendous. So I'm going to show you and ask different people, especially diplomats, actually in general different people from different areas. Stay with me till the end of my program, dear viewers of Addis Tour program.
I think this is a great initiative The forest cover in Ethiopia has dropped, but it's important that the government take initiatives to increase that forest cover, and they have done that with the Green Legacy Initiative. The forest cover has increased since 2019 when it was initiated, and it's great to support this kind of tree planting and creating awareness of the value of forests in the country. So we are happy to be here to support that initiative, and we also supported other places in the country with supporting forest conservation from the Danish side. So yeah, we are a committed partner in this initiative from the Danish side. I think in tackling the climate change, Ethiopia is a front runner. Ethiopia has ambitious climate goals, and implementing those are very, very important and Ethiopia can be an inspiration for other countries in their goals. They're very ambitious, but also in these kinds of initiatives. So I hope other countries will follow Ethiopia's footsteps and in creating ambitious climate goals and planting trees together. I think that's a very good way of tackling climate change and creating awareness of the importance of environment and nature. I have participated before. I was here last month. I was also participating in the tree planting. And also we do it in Banga. Denmark has a big forest conservation initiative in Banga where we have helped the communities that live around the forest with increasing livelihoods so they do not chop the forest. So there hasn't been a big difference since last month. It's just a different location, of course, because you need to do it all different areas of the city. I recommend everyone to take climate change very seriously. It's a threat to all of us in Europe, in Africa. We need to come together around this agenda and create ambitious goals, but not only make the goals, but also implement them. So I think the Green Legacy Initiative is a good example of how you can implement some of the goals that you have set for yourself, because it can be difficult, and especially in African countries where climate change.
As can you see, my hands is very dirty, but I'm absolutely happy to demonstrate, to show our friendship between Russia and Ethiopia. I think this event is very important for Ethiopia because the forest is the best thing in our environment, and I hope that we will have big forest here after 20-30 years. In Russia we say a man must to do three things in his life: to plant a tree, to build the house, and to have a son. I have a son. We have the Russian house here, and today I've planted the tree. I do everything in my life like a man. I think Ethiopia do his best to save the environment, to support the nature, to support the green plan of environment, green plan of sustainability, and it's very important. Ethiopia, as a new member of BRICS organization, do everything to be the good country which saves the environment. I think we must to save our planet, to save the environment in Africa, in Russia, around the world, is the most important thing for us, for our children, for our grandchildren. And today's event is a good idea, and I'm absolutely happy that I have an opportunity to be the participant of this event.
This is my second time participating in the Green Legacy project. That was last year. It was somewhere outside Addis, and I was participating in planting. In that project, there was over 500 million trees that were planted. And then again this year, Namibia again joined in planting in this initiative, which is aimed to plant seedlings of over 600 million. So it's a very, very good initiative. I think it's a very, very good initiative. This idea of planting a tree is going to help, as you said, in a global, in fact, the climate changes and everything. Because when you plant trees are life. It brings a balance in the ecosystem of the world. And without trees, there is almost no life, because trees generate for us enough oxygen for your own health, for breathe, and so. So I think this initiative, if it's expanded to the rest of the African countries, it will help in compacting deforestation, and also help in improving the quality of life in human society. I think if this project of planting seedlings of close to more than 600 million almost every year, if it becomes an African project, it will help us to, as you said, minimize climate change, and it will also help us to improve our quality of life, because these are not just ordinary trees, these are fruit trees that has been planted.
Edible trees.
Can also help in improving our food security in the African continent, and that way we can be self-sustainable in the future. As I'm deployed here as a diplomat, I will always be part of this initiative. Every time I'm joining this project, when the seedling planting, I'm always learning something new, so definitely I'll form part of this project in future.
According to these diplomats, therefore, a strong lesson should be taken from Ethiopia if lives have to be sustained in the world. Whilst the initiation Ethiopia took is greatly significant, the diplomats suggest there should be a continuous follow-up in the growth of planted seedlings as the human resources utilized. The time spent and the finance made use of is unquestionably gigantic. Through an unwavering and resilient follow-ups of the sources of the success rate of these plans, Ethiopia's move can't go beyond its periphery, expanding its horizon to the extent the whole world tackles its threats.
In Ethiopia, this is my second time planting trees in Ethiopia. I planted some trees in Bada for the Tana Forum in 2015, 2016 also. And I remember very well that it was a good initiative in 2012, and he asked us to continue planting trees. And we managed to put some trees together in Bada after his death. And I'm very grateful again that this initiative is here. It is going to be the second time that I'm planting trees in Ethiopia. However, I'm also planting trees in my country, in Uganda, where I come from. I think this is a very good initiative. It is an initiative that should have taken place many years back. And I don't see any reason why people should hold back. I planted only 10 trees today. I'd wanted to plant more. I came and found some of the species already taken by some people. But the world should learn from Ethiopia. The world should learn that climate change is real. I'm the coordinator for climate security coordination for IGAD at C1. And I know very well the problems we are going through in terms of climate change and keeping safe our environment, making sure that we have green environment, and desertification should not actually take us by surprise. And the world, Africa is in large, Africa should actually transform even the big desert into green desert. This is my plea, my request to everyone, that whatever time you have, please plant a tree, whether it is in your backyard, whether it is in a compound, and I ask governments to provide spaces for planting trees in a coordinated manner, not just anyhow. So I think it's very good. And scientifically, we are forgetting that we interact with plants. You know, whatever plants breathe out, we breathe in. Whatever we breathe out, the plants breathe in. If we cut the plants, then what else do we have? left. So I think the world should learn from this. Africa should learn from this. And I also appeal to my countrymen from Uganda. Please learn from Ethiopia. Ethiopia has also learned from somewhere. So let's learn from one another and plant trees in Africa. In fact, even tomorrow, this evening, if there is opportunity, I'll do that.
Okay.
So I'm very happy. It's basically, as I said, not the first time I'm planting trees here.
Definitely.
I've planted trees in Baada, and I wish I was in Mekele last week. I wish I had planted some trees there.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm glad I have planted almost 7 trees this morning, and I'm ready to do more. We really appreciate this initiative from Ethiopian government. It is a big message for all Africans and even for the globe. We need to counter global warming and need to work together for this issue of climate change to be well addressed. My humble recommendation to the others to go the same path. We need to work together to have a green, peaceful and prosperous region and Africa beyond. I have visited other parts of Ethiopia. I have been in Bishoftu, Adama, Asosa and Deridawa. I have been here in Addis Ababa for a quite time, so I saw it is always going green and going more flourished.
Okay.
So we really appreciate, and we hope we'll continue participating in such initiatives in the near future.
Addressing climate change is it's one of commitment and one of the priorities that IGAD is working for the last several decades on. So it's not because we were just invited by the government of Ethiopia to participate in it, but we also believe in this is our job. So we believe that climate change is a serious risk for our region, the continent, and the rest of the world. And we're committed to address it. We're working on it, and this goes with what we stand for. This is for any country, let alone for our member states. For any country, planting trees is very important, and there's nothing bad about it. It tackles the environmental challenge. It makes our environment cleaner. We breathe cleaner air, and in the long run, it also helps productivity in addressing food insecurities. So it's a commendable initiative that can be followed by any other country, including our member states. Planting is not the end objective, actually. Making them grow is what's important. So the success rate of, for example, out of the 600 million, what counts is in the end, how many % of it has successfully grown. So it requires a follow-up, a continuous follow-up, and such initiative should also be followed by a continuous follow-up that makes sure that these plants are growing successfully. So by next year, when we plant another one, that we should be able to count how many of those that we planted last year has successfully grown. Anywhere, I mean, anywhere what we plant is not, as I said, it's not the end objective. Planting is not the end objective. The whole idea is to make these plants grow and become trees. So for that end, we all need to work together.
The Green Legacy Initiative is what Ethiopia should absolutely sustain forever, because in a short period of time, the Green Legacy Initiative has brought a recognizable impact and change on Ethiopia and perhaps in the neighboring countries as well, because the neighboring countries are now taking lessons from Ethiopia in especially tackling the global warming and climate change, which in fact is the great threat for human species and animals on Earth. The global warming is not a single task and a task for a single person. It's a common threat that is absolutely devastating for the whole people across the globe. Ethiopian government has been curious enough in bringing about changes, especially in the forest cover in Ethiopia. That is why today is a campaign of planting 600 million seedlings in a single day, which is history, which is a record in the history of Ethiopia. Here, especially in Bole ICT Park, different people have been participating and putting their legacy just to bring a tremendous change and progress for Addis Ababa and perhaps beyond that. Ethiopians are also participating in different areas, different regions, just to put their footprints and in a route to play the land share again in tackling the global warming and bringing about change. This area previously it was a bare land, but now it's covered by forest, and perhaps next year if we come back again, this area may be like forest. These plants contain edible trees and different kind of plant species as well, which in fact can be absolutely tremendous, just in serving for different purposes. I have been here just interviewing different people about their reactions, their feeling to be here around Bole ICT Park, and that was absolutely marvelous, I can say. Because children participated here, diplomats participated here, elderly women, different walk of life have been here as well. So till the end of my program, I was going from place to place and showing you how it looked like. So for the time being, I'm going to stop my program due to the time constraint. In another program, I may come up with another area of talk, and for the time being, have a nice time, dear viewers of Addis Tour program.